Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 11, Text 29, The Perfect Society for Social Classes. Yapatim haribhavena bhajet shri ivatat para hayatmana hariloke padyashi ivamodate. Any woman who patim, her husband, haribhavena, mentally accepting him as equal to Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhajet, worships or renders service to. She Eva, exactly like the goddess of fortune. Jatpara, being devoted. Hariyatmana, completely absorbed in thoughts of Hari. Hare Loke, in the spiritual world, the Vaikuntha planets. Padya, with her husband. Shiva, exactly like the goddess of fortune. Modate, enjoy spiritual eternal life. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The woman who engages in the service of her husband, following strictly in the footsteps of the goddess of fortune, surely returns home back to Godhead with her devotee husband and lives very happily in the Vaikuntha planets. Purport. The faithfulness of the goddess of fortune is the ideal for a chaste woman. The Brahma Samhita states, Lakshmi sahasashatasam brahmasevyamanam. In the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Vishnu is worshipped by many, many thousands of goddesses of fortune. And in Goloka Vrindavan, Lord Krishna is worshipped by many, many thousands of gopis, all of whom are goddesses of fortune. A woman should serve her husband as faithfully as the goddess of fortune. A man should be an ideal servant of the Lord, and a woman should be an ideal wife like the goddess of fortune. Then both husband and wife will be so faithful and strong that by acting together, they will return home back to Godhead without a doubt. In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya gives his opinion. Harirasman stita iti strinam bhartari bhavana shishyanam chaguro nityam shujanam brahmanadishu brityanam swamini tatha hari bhava udirita. A woman should think of her husband as the Supreme Lord. Similarly, a disciple should think of the spiritual master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A Shudra should think of a Brahmana as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and a servant should think of his master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, all of them will automatically become devotees of the Lord. In other words, by thinking this way, all of them will become Krishna conscious. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yakripantamaham vande shikaram tilatarinam Om Jnana Timirandasya Karanja Shavakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. In our history, Draupadi was the most chaste lady. In Mahabharata, the story is told that one time when the Pandavas were living in the forest, Draupadi was there with the 5 Pandavas at Kamyavan, here in Braja. At that time, Satyabhama and Krishna visited them. So Satyabhama questioned Draupadi, how is it you're able to keep your husband so submissive and obedient to you? I see The Pandavas are always ready to please you in all respects, and they never become even slightly angry with you. Do you control them by some mystic chant? Or is it the good result of all the austerities you formerly performed? Or is it just by your youthful beauty and artistic use of dress and makeup you managed to keep your husbands under your control? I'm asking you this because I desire to keep my dear Lord Krishna under my control in just the same way. Please, tell me your secret. So Draupadi said, she was offended. She said, these are the methods of wicked women. You should know men can never be made truly obedient by such means. My secret is simply this. I've given up all sense of false pride, as well as personal desires for sense gratification. I carefully control my anger, and I always serve my husbands with great care and devotion. Indeed, I restrain my senses so carefully I don't allow even a glance to betray the slightest bit of emotion. I never think of bathing, eating, or sleeping until my husbands and servants have done so, and I'm ready to rise up quickly at any hour to personally greet my husbands when they return home. I always endeavor to do just that which is agreeable to them, and I discharge my various duties cheerfully and without lethargy. I always serve my superiors, and I never speak of them disrespectfully. Most of all, I'm very careful to always wait upon my mother-in-law Kunti with the utmost respect and attention. While residing at Indraprastha, Maharaj Yudhishthira used to feed thousands of brahmanas daily, and it was my duty to see their needs were properly taken care of. So she wasn't sitting in the corner weaving baskets. She was in charge of food for life, feeding thousands of people every day. And not only the food, she had to take care of all their needs. Number one. Number two, I had 100,000 maidservants to assist me, and I knew all the names, faces, and capabilities of each and every one of them. Temple commander. She was also temple commander, palace commander. I used to direct all of these maidservants, and any complaints about them would be submitted personally to me. Besides the maidservants, I also knew all of the male servants, even the cowherds. In fact, it was I alone who kept track of my husband's daily income and expenditure, so as only I knew the totality of their wealth, and he had unlimited wealth. So she was the accountant, she was a temple commander, she was doing food for life. She was very, very busy. Not only serving her husband, she had a lot of palace duties to perform as a Kshatriya lady. My dear Satyabhama, it is because I took on this great burden of responsibility and was thus the first to rise up in the morning and the last one in bed at night, I have won the great respect of my husbands. So even Prabhupada was telling, when Krishna kidnapped Rukmini, Krishna was busy fighting off the soldiers. Rukmini drove the chariot. She had to drive the chariot. So they knew not just how to serve the husband, they knew many things, these Kshatriya ladies and the Brahmana ladies, the different castes. They knew according to their position. But of course, the qualification of the husband is that he must be a devotee. In this verse, in the last verse we heard, if the husband is not fallen, then the wife should serve him. Patim patitam pajet. A chaste woman should engage with affection in the service of a husband who is not fallen. Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have the example. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya invited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house for prasadam, and they made 5 kgs of rice, many pots of vegetables, 10 kinds of spinach, shukta, cakes, fruits, roots, many dals, bitter preps, chutneys, boras, sweet rice, maybe 10 of each, and yogurt. And Lord Chaitanya saw it. He said, how could you prepare so much in just 6 hours' time? I think it would take 100 men to cook so much. Then he sat down to eat. But at that time, Amoga, the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma, came in and criticized Lord Chaitanya. How can you eat so much? Then Sarvabhauma ran after him with a stick to beat him, and his wife cursed him, let him die. So then Lord Chaitanya, he wanted to please him. He ate to his full satisfaction. And after he left, Sarvabhauma instructed his daughter, now you leave your husband. He is fallen. Don't stay with him. And her mother said, I curse him to die. And so not only if the husband can't follow the 4 regulative principles, if he criticizes devotees, then he's also fallen, if that is his habit. And that was Amoga's habit. So the woman is not doomed to serve a fallen husband if she's chaste. So Varnashram Dharma, this is the Varnashram system, was not a mechanical arrangement, a bureaucratic machine, but it was based on love. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, Atapumbi Jijashesta Varnashrama Vibhagashaha Sanastita Shatarmasya Sangsidir Hari Toshanam. So it is concluded the highest perfection you can achieve by doing your duties of Varnashram is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if husband and wife are devotees, they have Krishna in the center, they can help each other go back to Godhead. Just like Jagatarini, she was ordered by Srila Prabhupada to marry Burijan Prabhu. She never met him, she was a famous actress, but she just went to Japan and married him. And it came in the newspapers, she didn't tell her parents, came in the newspapers, famous actress forced by cult to marry Japanese monk. So her parents came to meet Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada met them and he said, oh, you are very fortunate. Because of your daughter will deliver you. And the father didn't know what to say. He said, I guess, I always knew she'd do something like that. So, yeah, it was, Varnashram is a culture of respect. We had many crazy things happen in the early days. Another one of my god sisters was married like that. She didn't meet the husband. And then she got married, and her mother, she called up her mother and said, oh, I just got married. And her mother said, what's his name? She said, oh, just a minute, I'll ask him. The mother said, you're crazy. She put down the receiver. So that's how it was in the old days. So Varnashram culture is a culture of respect. Just Prabhupada said, you go, just like another of my god sisters, Prabhupada went and preached in Russia to Ananta Shanti, this Russian devotee. And meanwhile, another lady devotee was in France preaching, praying, please give me something so I will surrender to Krishna. So Prabhupada called her and said, I want you to go and marry that Russian devotee in Russia. And so she did that. And that's how the Krishna conscious movement spread in Russia. This French lady went and married this Russian devotee, sight unseen. And so Varnashram is based on love. It's a culture of respect. We love Srila Prabhupada so much that we would do anything for him. So there's 4 principles, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. For Vaishyas and Grihastas, the artha, the money, is most important. This means the Grihastas must maintain the other 3 ashrams. But all 4 ashrams have to do charity. Gita says, acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. They purify even the great souls. This is 18th chapter, verse 5. So the Brahmanas, what do the Brahmanas give? They give knowledge. Brahmana Grihastas should be satisfied with a life of adhyayan, adhyapan, yajna, being learned scholars, teaching others how to worship Lord Vishnu. The Kshatriya Grihastas, they give in charity land to the Brahmanas and to the Vaishyas. Vaishya Grihastas, they give the wealth and the products to maintain the other 3. But Ugra Karma, that was not part of Varnashram. Now we see these factories. This is not conducive. And this is a cause of agitation for the human mind. In fact, Prabhupada called factory is another name for hell. So if any of you have worked in factories, you will know what this means. One of my godbrothers, Bajahari, who is no longer with us, he used to work in factory, and he said he almost had a nervous breakdown. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is because You were all Brahmanas in your last life, and now we are here again together. That's why you cannot do this factory work. So Prabhupada wanted Daiva Varnashram. The Varnas and Ashrams, they were interdependent. In the 4th canto, we hear how Prithu Maharaj, he instructed his citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, you should do your Varnashram duties and always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By doing so, you'll protect your own interests and you'll give mercy on your king. So who cares about the king? Nowadays, so many complaints about the American president. If you go on Facebook online, you will see nobody cares about him. Maybe a few people, but the majority are complaining about him. But here, when Prithu was king, everybody loved him. Otherwise, why would he say, for me you do this for me, for my betterment after death? So the Varnashram was based on love. The king loved the citizens, he took care of them, and the citizens loved the king, and they served him. Gita says, Yat karoshi yarashnasi yajuhasi dadasi yat yatapashasi konteyat takurusa mararpanam. All that you do, all that you eat, all that you give away should be done as an offering to me, Krishna says. So the citizens were depending on the king for protection, instruction, and Prithu was depending on the citizens for following Varnashram. But there had to be a connection with Krishna, and that's the difference between Daiva Varnashram and Asuric Varnashram. There is a connection to Krishna in Daiva Varnashram. So at the creation, Brahma created, the universal form was there, and the Brahmanas were the head, the Kshatriyas were the arms, the Vaishyas the belly, and the Shudras the legs. So the arms depend on the eyes and the brain, so the Kshatriyas depended on the Brahmanas. And so Prithu Maharaj, he was begging mercy, blessings from the Brahmanas, because they give you vision. The eyes give you vision. The Brahmanas are the eyes of the society. With the eyes we see, if someone comes and attacks us, if we're blind, then we cannot see. And how will the legs know where to go without vision? So the Brahmanas guide the society back to Godhead. Now the king, the Kshatriyas, protect the citizens from danger, and they give employment in Varnashram. Now we see in America, there's a problem with unemployment. There are 50 million people on food stamps. 50 million people in America don't have enough money for food. There are camps of homeless people. In fact, there were big forest fires near LA recently, a few months ago, and it was caused by the people lighting fires in these homeless camps. One of the fires was caused. So this is going on. People are, and Srila Prabhupada commented that your country will be destroyed by unemployment. When there is a lot of unemployment, that will destroy your country. So the duty of the king was to employ the citizens, make sure everybody was engaged in Varnashram system. And the purpose, of course, he said also, think of Krishna while you do your duty, because the purpose is to please Krishna. So when Yudhisthira was king, that was also a Krishna-conscious rule. Not only were the citizens paying tax to Yudhisthira, but there's a verse in 1st Canto, 10th chapter, verse 5, the rivers, the oceans, the hills, the mountains, the forests, the creepers, they were all paying their tax to the king. Everything, the flowers were blooming, the fruits were being, you could get them without giving water. They were just giving their fruits. They were giving their tax to the king. So everything in creation is part of Krishna's universal form, and what that means is that everything has a purpose to serve in a Krishna-conscious kingdom. So all the Varnas, they had their service to Krishna, and all of them appreciated each other. There was a culture of respect. Just like the Brahman was addressed as Panditji, Pandit Maharaj, Kshatriya as Thakur, and the Vaishyas as Sethji, and the Shudras as Chaudhary, which means leader. Everyone was calling each other by very respectful terms. And for example, when Maharaj Dasharat, king, father of Lord Ram, when he met the Brahmana, Vishwamitra, He said, Ahishtam yatta punarjanma jayaya. How are you doing in your endeavor to conquer the repetition of birth and death? How are you doing in your path of liberation? That was his question. That's how he greeted the Brahmana. Then Prabhupada says the Brahmana, he does not go to construct a big house. He constructs his character. And other people say, come and stay here. I will feed you. I will give you this. So that's the Brahmana. So if you can't become a Brahmin, Prabhupada said, then be a Kshatriya. If you can't be a Kshatriya, be a Vaishya. If you can't be a Vaishya, be a Shudra and serve everyone. So how to greet a Kshatriya? Angira Muni came to visit Chitraketu. And he said, I hope your body and mind and your royal associates and paraphernalia are well. So body, mind, royal associates and paraphernalia. Treasury, kingdom, your soldiers, I hope everybody's okay in your kingdom. How do you greet a Vaishya? Vasudeva went to Nanda Maharaj. He said, please tell me about the welfare of Vrindavan. You have many animals. Are they happy? Are they getting sufficient grass and water? Please let me know where the place we are living is undisturbed and peaceful, because the Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens. So Nanda Maharaj was a Vaishya, Vasudeva was a Kshatriya. And that's how he greeted. So Shudras, you can say, how are you? Because we think we're the body. Or how's business if you're a Vaishya? Because the Shudra, his interest is sense gratification, kama. Kama is the main thing. The Vaishya, artha, money is the main thing. Kshatriya, dharma, he wants righteousness, truthfulness, dharma, brahmana, moksha. So there was mutual respect between the different varnas. One of our devotees, Pradumna, was called by Prabhupada Panditji, because he learned Sanskrit and he was helping with Prabhupada's books. And so Prabhupada would call him and he would come in and offer obeisance. Sometimes he would ask Shudakirti, where is Panditji? And this was after several months, then the editor was not always readily available. So Prabhupada would call Shudakirti and say, where is Banditji? Where is he now? So Prabhupada has a sense of humor. And so if you get a Shudra on the top of the government, then Kama will be the goal. Just like in the 50s, the US president said, if you elect me president, I will give 2 cars in every garage and a chicken in every pot. So that was his promise, sense gratification. If you get a Vaishya on top of the government, then money, economic development will be the main important thing. If you get a Kshatriya, then protection, justice will be there. If you get a Brahmana on the top, then righteousness, then moksha, going back to Godhead. That will be the thing. So, Daiva Varnashram. What is the difference between Daiva Varnashram and Asuric Varnashram? That is the connection to Krishna. The goal in Daiva Varnashram is to please the Supreme Lord, to allow the members to cooperate to help each other advance spiritually. And in Asuric, demonic Varnashram, the goal is to organize an orderly society to promote social prestige, to help people advance to higher material planets. And there's another type of Varnashram which you see all over the world, which is not Asuric, it's not Daiva, it's just spontaneous. It's just some people are Brahmins, some people are intellectuals, some people are Shudras. So the purpose of that type of Varnashram is to preserve the order and material comfort of the higher classes. You can see it's very unjust, very unjust. I just saw on the internet one young girl, her mother died, she inherited her mother's condo or apartment, and the government said, no, you can't live there because you're too young. And so they kicked her out and she's living in a trailer. So this is the Asuric government. Asuric Varnashram. There is no justice. It's very, very bad. So the basis of the Varna and Daiva is your character, your qualities, and your work. Materialistic Varnashram, your parentage. You're born a Brahman, you're born a Shudra, that's who you are. And the spontaneous Varnashram, parentage and wealth. And the highest position in the Daiva Varnashram is the self-realized soul. In the materialistic Asuric Varnashram, the Brahmanas, born Brahmanas, spontaneous Varnashram is the rich and the famous. They will be the highest position. So when I came to India, the caste Brahmins, I came in 1972, some of them appreciated us, and they said, oh, how nice. You were doing such a nice puja. Next life, you can take birth in a Brahmin family and get perfect. We told Prabhupada. Prabhupada say, you tell them, oh, you're doing such a nice puja. Next life, you'll get born in ISKCON and get perfection. I was Prabhupada. So when I was living in Goa, I used to drive a moped. And who used to service my moped was a Panditji. He had a Brahmin thread, and he was covered from head to foot with grease from the mopeds and the motorcycles. So people would say, Panditji. And I was thinking, what is this, Panditji? Panditji, please service my moped. But this is Asuric Varnashram. This is not correct Varnashram. So Lord Brahma created 4 ashrams to uphold the 4 pillars of religion. 4 pillars of religion: cleanliness, mercy, austerity, and truthfulness. So according to 3rd Canto, chapter 12, verse 41, education, charity, penance, and truth are the 4 legs of religion. They correspond to brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. So the brahmacharis are meant to uphold education. They're students. Also cleanliness. In the 1st canto, it's cleanliness, shaucham. And in the 3rd canto, it's education, vidya. Charity is for the grihasthas. And also in the 1st canto, it's daya, mercy. So mercy and charity, that leg of religion is meant to be upheld by the grihasthas. Penance, austerity, is for the vanaprasthas. Truthfulness is for the sannyasis. So this is the beginning of creation. This is the purpose of the 4 ashrams, that the 4 ashrams are meant to uphold the 4 legs of religion. So it's according to Guna, Karma, Vibhagasha, chapter 4 of Bhagavad-Gita, verse 12. Chapter 4, verse 12. So Prabhupada, he took us. We were born in Mleccha families, some of us, all of us from the West. But actually, Kalo Shudra Sambhava, everybody in Kali Yuga is born as Shudra. So Prabhupada, he elevated us. There was one devotee. Before he became a devotee, he was a street child. And he was brought up on the street. He did not know who was his father. And he saw a picture of Prabhupada with a beautiful watch, and he said, oh, I must steal that watch. He came and joined the temple. He said, I have to meet your guru. I must meet him. They said, no, he's not here now. He's in South India. So he traveled to South India. He met Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada took off his watch and said, you want this? And after he met Prabhupada, he said, no, I don't. He became a devotee. Prabhupada said, I want you to go and preach in the West. So make your passport. So he was trying to make his passport, but there was a blank. He could not fill the name of his father. So he couldn't make his passport. So Prabhupada said, why you're not making your passport? So he said, well, you know, they're asking me who's my father, and I don't know. So Prabhupada said, give me that, show me that passport. And Prabhupada wrote, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, your father. He's our father, or our grandfather. And so he elevated us. He didn't see the body. Even in Lord Chaitanya's time, Lord Chaitanya himself was criticized. According to Hindu scripture, God's name is the most powerful. But if everyone hears the chanting of the holy name, the potency of the name will be lost. This was the complaint of the Brahmins. So, Lord Chaitanya confirmed Shikshastra, Kirtaniya Sadahari, we should always chant Hare Krishna. But these people in Lord Chaitanya's time, they're so fallen, they thought instead of delivering the fallen souls, the holy name becomes impotent and cannot do anything. So to vanquish the pride of the so-called renunciates and learned scholars, Lord Chaitanya spread real religion even through a Shudra. He preached devotional service by making Ramananda Roy his teacher. And he and Pradyumna Mishra, the purified Brahmana, both became students of Ramananda Roy. He made Haridas Thakur, born in a Muslim family, Namacharya. So Prabhupada, he made so many sannyasis and brahmanas from those of us who were born in Mleccha families. So Prabhupada did that. He's followed in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. In the 5th canto, 1st chapter 35, there is a verse, "My dear king, a devotee who has taken shelter of the dust of lotus feet of the Lord can transcend the influence of the 6 material whips, hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. And he can conquer the mind and 5 senses. However, this is not very wonderful for a pure devotee of the Lord, because even a person beyond the jurisdiction of the 4 castes and untouchable is immediately relieved of bondage to material existence if he utters the holy name just once." So this chanting is so powerful. It brings us beyond the level of Brahmana. In the purport to this verse, Prabhupada said, sometimes caste Brahmanas argue, unless you change your body, you cannot be accepted as a Brahmana. Because this body is given as a result of your past actions. And if you acted as a Brahmin in the past, you'll get born in a Brahmin family. So, but Prabhupada said, if you're freed by chanting the holy name, freed means you change your body. Prabhupada said, when a person, even a Chandala, is initiated into chanting the holy name, his body changes as he follows the instructions of the spiritual master. You cannot see how your body is changing, but actually we have to accept from Shastra, you change your body. So we're changing our bodies as we chant Hare Krishna. Our body is becoming purified. It's becoming spiritualized. Our subtle body is becoming spiritualized. We cannot see the gross body changing, but the subtle body is changing. And so Shuddhakirti, he said, once in LA, Prabhupada said, if it were not for the chanting of Maha Mantra, you boys and girls could not do anything. In the West, you have used so many drugs, you cannot accomplish anything. But chanting Hare Krishna has helped you get all these temples and devotees. Simply Krishna's mercy and the chanting. So everybody is important. The hand's important, the leg's important, the brain's important, the tongue's important, the arms are important. All the varnas are important. The women are important, the husband is important, the wife is important. All of them we need. And we can use everything as a way to go back to home, back to Godhead. So the challenge of our life is, what service can we do to please Krishna? What can we do? What is our psychophysical nature? And that way we can please Krishna. So very early, in the early days, 1966, Prabhupada had a few followers, and mostly they weren't following the rules and regulations. But Prabhupada, in a lecture of Bhagavad-Gita, he said, you must become guru. Lord Chaitanya says nobody is responsible for his birth. His responsibility is to advance in Krishna consciousness. If we want to enter the kingdom of God, there is no impediment. It doesn't depend on your body or any material condition. It's open for everyone. The chance is given. You can become a Brahmana, you can become a great devotee of Lord Krishna, and you can become spiritual master of the whole world. He said that to all the hippies. I don't know what they were thinking, but that was Prabhupada. He had that hope for all of us, that we all become guru. We all tell whoever we meet about Krishna. That is Prabhupada's mercy, that he empowered us to preach. And the movement is going on even after Prabhupada's disappearance. It's still going on till today. And that is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And he's following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, who did not see the difference between Hindu, Muslim, or man or woman. He gave everyone an equal chance to spread Krishna consciousness, to engage in his natural propensity in this movement. So we'll stop here. If there's any questions, you can ask at this point.
Remind
Thank you. Any other questions?
Could you speak more about the spontaneous Varnashram Dharma? It's a notion I'm not familiar with.
Well, spontaneous means that it happens naturally in the world. We see some people are naturally teachers or intellectuals, scientists or philosophers. Some people are naturally in the management. They want to fight, they're in the military. Some people are naturally in business. They just do business. And some people are getting jobs. They're shudras. They just get jobs. They have to have a master. They have to be paid. So that we see if we go to any country, pretty much, we'll see some people are workers, some people are businessmen or farmers, some people are in the military or in the government, in politics, and some people are just priests. That's the natural varnashram. It happens without any rules or anything. So the problem with this varnashram is that their activities are vikarma. Mostly it's based on sinful activities. So they cannot make progress. They're making progress the opposite direction. Because they're in ignorance. They have no knowledge of the purpose of their being businessmen, politicians. Their purpose is to please Krishna, to go back to Godhead, but they have no idea. They think it's money, they think it's kama, mostly enjoyment, sense gratification, and money. They think that's the purpose of life. So therefore, that spontaneous varnashram is going in the wrong direction. It's going to hell.
Would you recommend as a preaching strategy to bring more system and organization into such kind of spontaneous instead of just creating an own sectarian bubble?
Yeah, well, the way Prabhupada did it was he said, okay, you stay in your position and just hear about Krishna, chant Hare Krishna. You remain what you are, but you chant Hare Krishna, start chanting, and eat prasadam. That's the beginning. And once they get purified, then they can do their work for Krishna, yakkaroshi. They can give some donation, some portion of their money to help the Krishna consciousness movement. But first they need to chant Hare Krishna to get purified. And that was the second part of Prabhupada's work. The varnashram is, he said, when he said half of my work is not finished, he also said, it is for those who cannot practice bhakti-yoga. It is for those who are in the world. So we don't, now we have many examples of people who are doctors, lawyers, and they do it as devotional service for Krishna. They have their families, they give a portion, they give charity to the temple, and in that way their money is purified. Yeah, okay, way in the back. There's a lady way in the back.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for your wonderful class. I was listening to the earlier part online. It's such a wonderful discussion that's been going on for the last few days in this chapter, and it just raised a question in my mind yesterday, actually, that why, despite all these wonderful instructions that Prabhupada has left us with and such wonderful explanations, could you comment on why still in ISKCON we do see a lot of divorces and
Right.
separations, and what's fundamentally going wrong apart from just not following the instruction?
Well, the problem is, again, that they're not putting Krishna in the center. It's happening because they themselves are in the center and Krishna is not in the center. So somebody wants more sense gratification, the other one wants to renounce, and they divorce. But I heard in the class, one class, one devotee said Prabhupada recommended counseling, premarital counseling. So I think this is a really important thing that needs to be implemented is before the marriage they get counseling, because you don't know what you're going to expect. you come in with so many preconceptions, preconceived ideas. The wife should be like this. Wife is thinking husband should be like this. But it's not going to, they're going to be according to how they want to be, not according to how you want them to be. Yeah, premarital counseling, compatibility, 3 areas of compatibility, past, present, future. Past means not only your chart, but your culture should match, how you were brought up. If you're not just different cultures, different parts of the world, but was there divorce in your family? Did your family stay together? That's the past. Present, how well can you communicate honestly with each other? Future, what are your expectations? So people get married and they don't discuss these things. So, I had one girl, she came to me. She said, oh, I'm going to get married. I said, so have you discussed with your husband your future expectations, how you want to live? She said, well, he wants us to live in the temple, very renounced. I said, so what about you? He said, no, I don't want to do that. I said, well, you better tell him. Tell him now. And he was a nice man. He said, oh, okay, that means I'll have to get a job. So these things, premarital, saves a lot of trouble. If you pass, and you should be compatible, not just your charts. I've seen somebody with a very good chart compatibility. They were associating for 2 years. 2 months before the marriage, they broke up. Because the other 5 parts weren't compatible. Only 1/6 was compatible, and the rest were incompatible. And so, yeah, this needs to be implemented. Any other questions? I think the time might be up. One last question.
As you said, the bodies, we are changing our bodies. So when we come in the spiritual context, we change our bodies. So similarly, we see in the material world when we are there, our body and dresses were different. Our body and dresses were different. Now when we come to the spiritual context, our body and dresses are totally different, which we may never accept that we should have this type of dress or this one type of body.
You're not accepting the spiritual body.
No, spiritual body, now we have the spiritual body and the dresses also. The dresses which we were wearing before in the material world, just like girls used to wear skirts, blouses, and this one, and boys used to wear pant and shirt. But now everything is come and changed. How our body is changing, and our dresses are changing, and our thinking is changing also.
Okay, thank you. I guess it's a comment. All right. Oh, I don't think we have time. Is it 9 o'clock? I don't know I can't see the time because the clock is 5 minutes. Okay, last question.
How much matching horoscope is, how much crucial role does it play?
Yeah, matching horoscope is 1/6 of the picture of compatibility. 1/6. Past, you need to be past, present, and future. This is a course given, this is one class of a course given by Grihasta Vision for Grihastas. Compatibility is one class. What is compatibility? Past means your chart plus your culture. I know, yes, even in India, if you marry from different states, it will be a problem. Or if you marry from different castes, it will be a problem. What to speak of different countries. So culture, your upbringing, that is 1/6. 1/6 is the chart. 1/3 is your present compatibility. How well can you communicate? Because communication is a lot of the reason for divorce. That they cannot communicate with each other properly. They fight, only fight. You cannot hear each other. How well is the other person hearing you? How well are you hearing the other person? And so that's past, present, future. What are your expectations? And what are her expectations? How you're going to live, how many children, how you want to follow the rules and regulations, all these things. What is your economic, how much money you need? All these things. So chart is 1/6, according to the Grihasta Vision team. These other things have to match too, because I know somebody with 100% compatibility, they got divorced. So it's not everything. It's not everything. Devotees, these are devotees. especially devotees. You cannot predict. Very difficult. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki.